The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So, I don't know if you guys have been checking out some of this preseason ball. It's got me excited. Commanders take the field tomorrow for the first time in 2025. Really excited to see the fellas take the field, even though I know a lot of the starters won't play. Doesn't change the excitement level that I have to see these guys play tomorrow. I've got a list of players tomorrow that I've highlighted as guys that I'm going to be, looking to see them play well. There's 27 guys on this list. I know it's a pretty robust list. I've sectioned it off between veterans and youngins. Then I have 12 guys that I've put stars by their names because I'll be watching them closer than the rest because of the impact of what these guys could be this year on the roster. And then these are guys that we think are going to be contributors, more likely than not. Not all of them, but there's an impact that they have counting towards the 53, what they could be if they're in a positional battle, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to go through this list. The thing that I've kind of picked up on watching some of the other games, whether you watch some of the Eagles-Bengals game, and these have been entertaining games, the Ravens-Colts game, is injuries. I was watching the Ravens-Colts game. Anthony Richardson left the game with a finger injury. Looks like he's going to be fine, but you just never know. But he was on the sidelines listening to the play calls. If he had broken something, I don't think he would have stayed on the sidelines. But nonetheless, he had to leave the game, right? And then a guy that I actually liked during the draft process, Bilal Kone, the 6th-round pick corner out of Western Michigan, it looked like he tore his ACL. Again, I'm no doctor. I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, but they had to cart him off. They put an air cast on his leg. I watched the replay twice. It didn't look good. It looked like a torn ACL. And that sucks. And that's what you do not want. That's the thing above all else. I can't stress that enough. I don't know if you guys have been following, but Rashawn Slater, who just got the massive deal from the Chargers, I think just a day or two ago. I think it was like $114 million in aggregate. He just, I think he just tore his patella tendon, which is like the worst injury you could have. It's worse than an ACL. It's worse than an Achilles, especially for an offensive lineman. So that could have, far-reaching consequences for the, duration of his career. He may never be the same player. We don't know. And I'm hoping that he has a speedy recovery. But this is why Terry McLaurin isn't on the field. And this is why I always advocate for players to get their money and do whatever you feel like you need to do to get your bread, because you don't know when that clock runs out on your knee, on your ACL, on your Achilles, on your patella tendon. You don't know when it's, because I feel like every joint in your body, when you play sports, has a finite number. You don't know what that number is. But when it hits that number, snap. And he just signed a deal and he got his money. And had that thing happened 2 days prior, he would not have gotten his money. It's crazy how that works, but you see why guys do the things that they do. When you see something like that take place, football is a very, very volatile sport, man. Anything can happen. So anyhow, with that said, enough of me babbling about a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with the Commanders necessarily. I want to talk about tomorrow night. I've given you, I talked to the Kings yesterday. If you had a chance to check that out, then, we talked about the game tomorrow, things we want to see. I think we covered that pretty well. If you haven't watched it yet, do yourself a favor, check it out. I won't rehash all of those things because I think we did a pretty good job of covering the things that we're looking for. I'm gonna take a different approach and talk about players specifically that I'm going to be watching this game. DQ told us before the joint practice that there was going to be a, snap count hierarchy during the joint practice that was going to lead to a ripple effect during the game, which again, we all knew. I talked about this, 2 days before the joint practice of how this thing was going to go. And even on my Bleacher Report quick hit, I talked about the fact that rookies really don't play in joint practices because that's really not for them. The joint practices are really for the first team and the second teams. If you're third team, you may get a few reps in there, but for the most part, we're trying to get as many reps for our starters, guys that we know aren't going to play in the preseason game. This is their chance to get those reps in here because they're not going to play in the game on Friday. So Jaden Daniels in the first team offense took a ton of reps. The second team took a ton of reps. And so there were, some third team reps sprinkled in the mix, but more likely than not, you're not going to see any of the starters. I can assure you, you're not going to see any of the offensive starters. You may see a few guys that we are going to be leaning on the defensive side out there, but for the most part, they're going to clean house with those guys as well. The main guys on the defensive side, you're not going to see. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw Will Harris out there. Okay, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm going to treat him and assume that he's a starter. I'm going to treat him as such, and I'm going to say that he's not going to play. But I wouldn't be shocked to see number 3 running around out there because they may feel like he needs some more work, and he's not this like bona fide starter. But the same can be said for Dietrich Wise. I think you could easily see number 91 out there, but I don't think they're going to put Dietrich Wise out there. They know what he is. They know he's a veteran. They don't need to see him. I don't think he's going to play. I wouldn't be shocked to see Dietrich Wise out there. So again, defensively, it's a little bit different. Like we know the guys that aren't playing. Like Dorrance Armstrong isn't playing tomorrow. Deron Payne isn't playing tomorrow. Javon Kinlaw isn't playing tomorrow. Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner aren't playing tomorrow. None of the corners, Mikey Samerstill, Marshawn Lattimore, Trey Amos, none of those guys are playing tomorrow, right? Quan Martin's not playing tomorrow. There's only a select few, defensive guys that might see the field that we consider starters. We'll see. Likelihood is Cleveland Farrell won't play tomorrow. Dietrich Wise won't play tomorrow. There's a select few guys that could play. But ultimately, on the offensive side, I know the entire offensive line isn't playing. So the questionable part is, will Allegretti be out there? Wiley's not going to be out there under any circumstances. He's too valuable to what they're doing right now, especially with all the injuries to Coleman and, the tackle situation being what it is. Wiley won't be out there. All right. We know that Laramie Tunsil won't be out there. We know that Tyler Biadasz won't be out there. I think everybody else is fair game, right? After Wiley, Biadasz, and Tunsil, everybody else is fair game on that offensive line. I wouldn't be shocked if Allegretti doesn't play, but it feels like he's going to play. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't, though, because right now he's technically a starter. So I don't think he's going to play. Wouldn't shock me if he did. But Bates isn't going to play in this game, I don't think. Ertz definitely isn't playing. Jaden isn't playing. B-Rob nor Eckler are playing in this game. And Deebo Samuel isn't playing. Everybody else on the offense is fair game. Every single guy, right? So with that said, let's get to the veterans. Let's start with the veggies. I want to start with my vegetables first. We'll get to the dessert later, which are the youngins, and talking about those guys in particular. But I want to start with the veterans that I want to see tomorrow, because we talk so much about the youngins, and we're going to talk a lot about them tonight. But these veterans are going to play a huge part on this team. Their roles can't be understated. And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we're going to rely on some of these guys, whether we want to believe it or not. Some of these guys are going to have to play. They're going to be in the rotation. We need them to play well. Let's start at the cornerback position. Jonathan Jones and Noah Igbenogany are probably going to be your 2 starting corners when this game takes place. There'll be 2 of the starting corners, assuming that we are in our base. I don't know if Noah Igbenogany will be out there. Obviously, I don't think they see him as a boundary corner necessarily. He can go out there if he has to. But I think Noah is more so of a nickel. So I wouldn't be shocked if we come out in a base set where there's only 2 corners on the field. He's not out there, but our base is really 3 corners on the field. So for all intents and purposes, Jonathan Jones and Noah Igbenogany are going to be on the field to start the game, along with, one of 2 guys. It could either be Carlin Vigors or it could be Price, right? At the end of the day, Jonathan Jones and Noah Igbenogany are going to be on this team. These are guys that we may have to rely on at some point. I'm anxious to see what they look like. Igbenogany, not necessarily someone that I'm going to be focusing on all that much. As a matter of fact, I probably shouldn't have even written his name down because I know what he is. Guys that I've seen already, I know what their skill set is. I know what their talents are. I really don't need to see you. Like, Igbenogany isn't one that I necessarily need to see play well. I've heard that he's been looking good in camp. I know what he is. I watched him all last year. I'm comfortable with what he is. So he's not as big of a concern as Jonathan Jones. I don't know him, not in a Commander's uniform. I've seen him play before, but I want to see what he looks like in year 9 in a Commander's uniform. So Jonathan Jones is definitely a veteran that I'm going to be looking at. You go to the defensive line, it's a logjam there, right? And there could easily be a number of guys that we're looking at and saying, is this guy going to make the roster? And we're just going to assume, oh, yeah, they're going to make the roster, but we have no idea. 2 of those guys are Jalen Holmes and Jacob Martin. I'm going to be watching Jalen Holmes and Jacob Martin extremely close in this game. I like Jalen Holmes probably more than most. I like his versatility. I think they do as well. But that defensive line right now is stacked. And there could be a situation where somebody doesn't make it. And it could be one of those 2 guys. Jacob Martin was brought in here on a very minimal 1-year deal. You can easily cut bait with him. And the same thing with Jalen Holmes. Brought back on a 1-year deal. You could easily cut bait with either one of those 2 veterans, and you wouldn't lose any sleep. If you're the Commanders, you're not wasting any money. You're fine. You could easily cut one of these guys and get them back on the practice squad and have them be ready should you need them. Right? There's a lot of things that could transpire. That said, Martin is really interesting because he's got a Von Miller body type. One of those guys that can stand up, move around, should be quick and agile off the edge. He's supposed to be this year's version of Dante Fowler Jr. Can we see flashes from him in this game that makes us feel like, hey, this is a guy we definitely have to keep around? I think he's going to make the roster, but there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees right now. He's going to have to be really good on special teams, and he's going to have to be even better on defense. So those are 2 guys that I'm watching. Not sure if Eddie Goldman's going to play in this game. He feels like a veteran that they may just say, hey, you're good, don't worry about it. But I wouldn't be shocked if Eddie Goldman's out there for a few reps. I wouldn't mind seeing Eddie Goldman. Again, if you're new to the program, I would really appreciate it if I could lay eyes on you in this game. So Eddie Goldman is new to the program. I know he's a veteran. I know what he's brought here to do. I would like to see him do some of that in this game. That said, if he doesn't play, not tripping. We'll see him next week against Cincinnati. But he's a guy that I think should play in this Patriots game in week 1 of the preseason. So if he does play, want to see what he looks like. Then you get to the secondary, safety position in particular. Jeremy Reeves and Percy Butler are 2 guys as veterans that I like. They're a part of the depth at the safety position. Like, seriously a part of the depth. Percy was last year anyway. So that's not new news, but I want to see how they're utilizing Percy, because Percy last year was a guy that I think they felt like could, play that deep safety, could play a deep half, could play a deep third. I'm not sure if I buy that, even though he's got the speed to do it. I want to see how they utilize him because I think they like him in those 3 safety sets. And he spent some time with the first team defense. So has Jeremy Reeves. Revo says he feels like much faster this year than he was last year. He's seeing the field better. He's in year 2 of this Joe Witt Jr. scheme. Joe Witt said in the offseason, and I know this doesn't really mean much because he said the same thing about Defoe last year, but he wants to find ways to get Revo on the field defensively. If I am, as a fan, to be comfortable with Revo being on the field, I need to see him standing out in situations like this, where you're playing against potentially. Now, again, I think that it's a very realistic chance that the Patriots play their starters a possession or two, like it on both sides. I don't think Mike Vrabel is going as a first-year coach, and again, this is not his first rodeo, but taking over a team that has been destitute the last 2 years, coming into a situation where you're looking to change the culture, I don't think anybody has earned the right to not play. I expect him to put his starters out there. Maybe Stephon Diggs doesn't play, but I expect the starters to be out there for them. Until they're not out there, my assumption is that Drake May is going to be out there for a possession or two. My anticipation is that that D-line that dominated much of the joint practice, that we had trouble blocking with our starters, is going to be out there against our second team offensive line, and that could present some problems for guys like Sam Hartman and company. I'm assuming Sam Hartman will be out there to start the game, and it will be interesting to see how they hold up, right? Which is good work for these guys. But if you're Jeremy Reeves and you're out there, I'm assuming with the first team, well, the first team to be out there, you're the second team defense, but you're going to be out there starting the game. Whether it's the Patriots starters, whether it's and he'll be in there when the starters leave and the second team Patriots offense comes in, assuming that the Patriots starters start the game. I need you to look like you're better than the guys that you're playing against. You need to stand out. As a veteran, as a guy that has been in the league long enough now, you're in this defensive scheme for the second year, so you're finally comfortable in the defensive scheme. You say you feel great coming off the injury now and being removed a full year and a half. You feel so much better. You said the game is slowing down mentally for you, and everything has slowed down to the point where you feel like you can go out and make plays and be a part of this defense. Show me. Show me. I want to see. Then you get to the wide receiver position, and this is huge because none of these guys have stepped up to the point now where I am seriously considering Ja'Cory Brooks for the final wide receiver spot, which I didn't think was possible when this thing started. I thought that he could have a chance to compete, but ultimately there's just too many veterans on the back end for this guy to really have a chance to make this roster. That's not the case. He's played a lot with the ones, man. In that joint practice, Ja'Cory Brooks was out there with the ones. He made the one-handed grab way more than I'm comfortable with, but it also tells me the story of where he is in the pecking order. That means the veterans haven't stepped up, haven't established themselves as better than this young kid. And honestly, I don't know if they are going to step up. This just may be who they are at this juncture of their careers. And that's okay. If that's the case, it's okay. Just tell me who you are so I know, and there will be no expectations. I expected Michael Gallup to show up, show out after a year off, similar to Zach Ertz, who didn't necessarily have a year off, but really didn't play the year before he got here to Washington. People thought he was washed and his career was done. And he was like, yo, I'm fresh. I really didn't play the year before, so I'm feeling great. And he showed that last year. I thought Gallup was going to come in here and just show everybody, hey, I can still cook, bro. I haven't heard anything that suggests that. The team clearly doesn't feel that way because he can't get on the field with the ones. Everybody's getting first-team reps. Doesn't seem like Michael Gallup's getting any. That's alarming. because Chris Moore is getting first-team reps. Ja'Cory Brooks is getting first-team reps. I ain't heard KJ Osborne or Michael Gallup getting first-team reps. That should tell you all you need to know. Like, everybody's getting a turn. It doesn't sound like these guys are getting turns. So in this game, I want to see what the hell Chris Moore, KJ Osborne, Michael Stracken, and Michael Gallup are all up to. These veterans, who's going to step up? Maybe none of you will. I keep saying that. I keep asking the question, who's going to step up? Maybe none of you are capable of doing that, and that's okay. And I'm not going to discount Michael Stracken anymore because he had an impressive catch where he climbed the ladder, went and got the football. I'm not going to dismiss him. He's 6'5". I'm not going to just act like this guy doesn't bring something to the table that we really don't have right now. Everybody's a suspect. Everybody has a shot. I just want to see if anybody's going to step up and say, hey, it's me. Are there any Tinsleys this year? Yes, no, maybe so. Are there any Cam Simses this year? Yes, no, maybe so. We'll see. So those are the veterans. Then we go to the youngins that I want to see in this game that I'm so anxious. I think most of us are anxious to see the youngins. The vets are cool. And if they make plays, yay, good for the vets. But it's all about the youngins, man. These guys are the future. You know, they're a part of the future of this roster. And you want to see as many of these guys succeed. We've had 14 draft picks over the last 2 years with Adam Peters and company. And you want to see these guys flourish. These guys are supposed to be foundational building blocks. Right now, we have one on each side of the ball that are foundational, building blocks, so to speak. And Mikey Sainristil and Jaden Daniels from the first draft class in 2024. But when you have 3 second-round picks, you feel like you should come away with more than just 2 guys, right? Jaden was your first-round pick. Mikey was your second of your 3 second-round picks. You feel like you should come away with more than just 2 guys that are core foundational pieces. Well, this is an opportunity for some of those guys to step up. But before we get to my list of important guys, the guys that I've have stars next to their names, let's get to the other youngins that I don't think are going to make this roster, but I'm not counting them out from future conversations about being a contributor. And I even made a video about a month ago or so talking about guys that, need to be in the crock pot, right? They need more cooking, seasoning. Put them in the crock pot, turn it on, low, and just let them cook low and slow. That's these guys that I'm about to mention. They're not going to make the team this year. But they'll be around. They'll be on the practice squad, more likely than not. And they could easily be on the roster next year. We'll see. The first guy up is Carlin Viggers. Carlin Viggers has been making plays this summer to the point. So much so that Joe Witt Jr. went out of his way to mention him at the top, along with other corners, of course. But at the top, he didn't mention every single corner. He didn't go full Jay Gruden on us and mention every single name in that room. He just listed the guys that have stood out. And he even threw in Carlin Viggers. Then Viggers went into the joint practice and made a couple of plays. Clearly, they liked Carlin Viggers. They valued him in the draft process. They made him a priority. And he's gotten opportunities, and he's taken advantage of those opportunities. They like him. He's played well. I want to see him. He's got size. He's got length. He seems to have awareness. I'm anxious to see what Carlin Viggers looks like. There isn't a roster spot with his name on it, but there is a practice squad spot with his name on it. John Keim said something very interesting on his video yesterday when he was talking about the joint practice. He said Carlin Vigors could be one of those candidates this year that they try to stash away and put him on the practice squad, meaning they don't play him a lot in the preseason. This staff, I don't take as one of those that'll try and hide a guy. I think they'll let him play out and then hope to get him back on the practice squad. But I've always told y'all, people are always eyeballing your stuff. You got to be careful because there's somebody out there that's desperate, that needs one, and they're looking at yours and saying, we could use that. The question then becomes, is Carlin Vigors one of those guys or not? And Kyle said he wouldn't be shocked if Carlin Vigors is one of those guys that this regime looks to hide in the preseason so you don't see him a ton so that they can cut him and get him on the practice squad. I think they're going to play him. I think they're going to play the hell out of him in this game. I think he's going to play a ton in the last preseason game versus the Ravens, and they're going to let the chips fall where they may, but they clearly like Carlin Vigors, and I can't wait to watch him play and see what he's about. So he's definitely a youngin' I've got my eyes on going into this game. TJ Mag. TJ Mag. Look, this guy is 222 pounds. He's lean. He's like 6'3". He looks like a fake version of Kane Madrano. And an unfootball savvy version of Kane Madrano. I really don't know what to expect out of him. Former rugby player. A lot of times, rugby players don't pan out in the NFL. Jared Haynes was supposed to come in here and be the next big thing. Didn't work out. The Chiefs went out and got this dynamo guy that was supposed to be this ridiculous athlete. Didn't work out. The only guy that has worked out as a former rugby player was Jordan Mailata. So I don't have any expectations for TJ Mag. I just want to see how he moves on the field. That's it. Is he fluid? Because clearly he's just learning the game. How much is he even going to play? I don't know. But I'll be checking for him to see what he can and can't do. And if there's any intrigue there, he could just be an IPP player that's just around for 3-4 years that you're like, hey, yeah, TJ Mag's still here. Just like the last guy we had. That was an IPP player that was around for like 3-4 years that never, ever actually was pulled up on the roster. So we'll see. But he's on the list, right? Young guy, why not? Robert McDaniel. I had the privilege of talking to Logan Paulson, and I asked him for a guy just to look out for in camp. And he gave me the name of Robert McDaniel. A guy that looks the part, he said. You know, obviously, we knew he had the athleticism. We knew he had the size. We knew he could move and had the speed coming out of Jackson State. Now the question is, can he play at this level? You know, we're going to start to see if that's the case or not. But he looks like Jeremy Chin. Build-wise, athleticism-wise, he looks like Jeremy Chin. Can he play like him is the question. Can he be versatile enough at the NFL level, or is he simply just a box safety? Well, we'll start to find out some of those answers tomorrow night against the Patriots. So really looking forward to seeing what Robert McDaniel looks like in that game. And then you skip over all the way to the receiver position and Jacoby Jones. I know he's not a factor to make the roster this year. I've already given you my take and 2 cents on what I think he is being groomed to be. I think our general manager, Adam Peters, sees Jacoby Jones as his Noah Brown replacement. I think he sees a guy that has a very similar frame, And I keep thinking about the 49ers, and I keep thinking about how AP is not necessarily trying to build us in the image of the 49ers, but I do think he is trying to take bits and pieces from what they did. I'll give you some examples. What did the 49ers do when they really took it up a notch? What was one of the first moves that they made to do that? They traded for Trent Williams. What did we do? We traded for Laramie Tunsil. Trent Williams was already either in his 30s when they traded for him, but he was still elite, or he was going into his 30s. Where's Laramie Tunsil? Turning 30, I think he's 30 years old, if I'm not mistaken, turning 31, if he's not already 31. But he's still elite, and he's going to be elite for the next 4 to 5 years. You see a trend with that? I told you, and a lot of you didn't want to hear this, and you hate this. I'm looking at Ben Sinnott, and Adam Peters literally told us after the draft he sees him as a cross between George Kittle, which he is not George Kittle. I think we can all say that right now. He could be end up being a really good tight end. He's not George Kittle. Very few are, right? That's why George Kittle has just received a third contract from the 49ers despite being over the age of 30. Why? Because he's George Kittle. He said that Ben Sinnott is a cross between George Kittle and the fullback that they got from Kyle Juszczyk. Y'all don't want to hear the shit, but Kyle Juszczyk, huge part of what they did in San Francisco. Adam Peters sees the value in having a guy like that. That's a Swiss Army knife that you can do different things with out of the backfield, line up in line, all of that good stuff. Look, I don't think anybody's trying to hear him being Kyle Juszczyk, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's kind of the mold in which they see him as. Again, do you spend a second-round pick on that? I'm not here to argue that. I'm just telling you some of the things that Adam Peters sees. And I think he sees Jacoby Jones as this team's Jawan Jennings, right? Big physical receiver, guy that can be a possession receiver, physical, blocks on the outside, can go get the football. Again, I want to see it. There was so, like, the offense, I hated the offense that Jacoby Jones played in at UCF. It's the worst, one of the worst offenses to watch on tape. That, and I think Wake Forest is the absolute worst, but it's so hard because they're so spread out. You know, it's almost like a comic book offense. Everything's spread out. You're throwing the ball all around the field. It's so wide open. It's one of those college offenses. And so he had a lot of space to operate, but at UCF. But I want to see, can he run routes? I want to see how fluid he is, because he looked a little stiff on tape. He didn't look like he ran, much of a route tree. So I want to see if there's development with him. Can he high point the football? That wasn't something that I really saw him do in college. But there's some traits there that you like. He had the touchdown to end the joint practice against the Patriots on Wednesday from Josh Johnson. So I'm anxious to see what he looks like out on the football field. I imagine he's going to look huge compared to some of the other guys that they're going to put out there at 6'3", damn near 230. I assume he's going to look a little bit bigger than most. And I want to see if I feel like watching him, like, oh, I feel his size, and his ability to be able to box guys out, go get the football, that sort of thing. So he's interesting because I think there's a path to him being on this team long term. And I think they have a vision for him. So he's the guy that I want to see, obviously, as an undrafted. So those are the guys that are youngins that I don't see them being a factor in 2025. So they're not as important, but I still want to see if they're even worth me talking about moving forward. Because some of these guys, if I see you and I'm like, oh, okay, then I'll just, store you in the back of the memory bank, but I'm not really checking for you no more because I feel like I'm wasting my time. And guys can grow and can get better, etc. But I mean, I'll give you a great example. I wasted a lot of time on Cole Turner, just hoping he would turn into something. It just never did. It never happened. And I'm not even checking for Cole Turner. He's on the roster still, by the way. He's going to play tomorrow night. He's going to play in the preseason. I'm not checking for Cole Turner anymore. I've given up on him. That's not to say that he hasn't gotten better with this new staff, that David Rye hasn't gotten him to maximize his potential, and all of a sudden now he's ready to be a force. I doubt it. But I've already given up on him. So I need to see if some of these guys are worth, continuing to watch them, clocking their movements, seeing what they look like, or if you're like, nah, I'm good. I'm good on him. Right? But these are the guys that I am really, really watching this game to see, right? So let's start with the second-year guys, because we really need to see something from these dudes, more so than the rookies and the undrafteds that we're eyeballing. These second-year dudes, there's a chance that you could be out there against the Patriots twos. There's no excuse, right? That's just how I feel. If you're out there against the Patriots twos, and again, for guys like Johnny Newton, maybe you get 1 or 2 possessions. Well, the Patriots starters may be out there for 1 or 2 possessions. Okay, cool. Not like the Patriots offensive line is full of world beaters, but whatever, right? But if they come out with what's my man's name? What's their backup quarterback name? If Josh Dobbs starts that game off with a bunch of backups and Travion Henderson, Johnny Newton better flash. Johnny Newton better flash. He better not blend in. I better not forget that Johnny Newton even played in the game on Friday night. It's time for Johnny to start producing something. Give me something. Make me a believer. Because I was one of the guys that was a believer. I still am. But it's a lot of people questioning, are you like that? Show them. Show us something. Johnny Newton is one of the guys that's at the very top of this list, because as a second-year player, fully healthy this offseason, got to get the work in that you didn't get as a rookie, second year in the system, so you should be comfortable with what they're asking you to do. He looks like he's in tremendous shape, and sometimes when you cut your hair, it just makes you look 5 to 10 pounds lighter. But he looks to be in tremendous shape. He's talked about, being ready to take advantage of opportunities. Well, let's see it. Joe Witt Jr. basically said, it's time for Johnny to show us why we spent the second-round pick on him. I'm with it. Want to see it. He's one of the guys that's at the top of the list of those second-round guys or second-year guys that we're looking for big things from in this game. Let's go to one of his second-round mates from last year's draft, Ben Sinnott. Again, I don't think you're going to see either of the top 2 targets at the tight end position in John Bates or Zach Ertz. I know you're not seeing Ertz in this game. Bates is still debatable. I wouldn't be shocked if Bates is out there. But to me, Bates is such a vital part of what they do offensively as a blocker and an extension of the offensive line that I don't even see them wasting their time putting him out there in this game. But I could be wrong. There's enough tight ends on this roster to where you don't need to put John Bates in the game in preseason game number 1, right? So Ben Sinnott is going to be out there for all intents and purposes as TE1. If there's no Bates, he's TE1. I want to see him operate in that space as TE1. Remind us why, because we know he's an athlete. A lot of people put him in this box because he blocked so much last year, and he may be blocking a lot again this year. A lot of people put him in this box as if Ben Sinnott isn't an athlete. We treating him like he John Bates or some shit now. Because I said that he's Kyle Juszczyk, y'all automatically dismiss him like Kyle Juszczyk is an athlete, first and foremost. Y'all dismiss him like he's Ricard or something of the Ravens, right? Like he's 300 pounds or something. Like Ben Sinnott is an athlete. He can run. He can catch. And if given the opportunity, I think what it really boils down to is he's just not getting opportunities. As I've said, with the way the roster is set up, you used to play football outside when you had an odd number of guys. What'd you do? Somebody had to be what? All-time QB, right? John Bates is all-time TE2. Okay, as long as he's on the roster and he's blocking at the level that he's blocking at, John Bates is all-time TE2. So you're either TE1 on this roster or you're TE3. There's no in between, right? That's the problem for Ben Sinnott. It'd be something else if he could get to the TE2 spot and get on the field. But because he's either 1, which you're not going to be over Zach Ertz, you're 3, which pretty much puts you off the field because there's not a ton of 3 tight end sets that they're running unless they want to run the ball. And if they get into those, they rarely are throwing it. And yeah, they could put in, sets where it's Ertz and Sinnott on the field. But if you're doing that, if you go to 2 tight end sets and Ertz is one of your targets, you're probably looking for him to get the ball first. You're not looking for Ben Sinnott. And you could say, well, why not just put him on the field in, 11 personnel? Because you're not putting him in over Zach Ertz. That's why. So again, it just goes back to a lack of opportunities. Well, this is an opportunity. Whether the Patriots 1s, 2s, or 10s are out there, this is an opportunity to remind people why you were a second-round pick. We saw flashes in the Jets preseason game last year. We saw it on the fake punt in the NFC Championship game last year or earlier this year. You have to remind people why you were a second-round pick again. Here's an opportunity for him to do that. You don't hear that anymore, E. Kids don't play football outside no more. So you probably heard that in 15, 20 years, all-time QB. Nobody goes outside and plays football anymore. But when we were kids, when we were growing up, you were always outside. You were always playing football. And if you had 11 people and it was 5-on-5, well, somebody's all-time QB, right? Yeah, you ain't heard that in a while. I know. Let's stick with the tight end position and another second-year tight end. This time of the undrafted variety, but a guy that made the roster last year was somewhat of an upset when he made the roster, but they clearly value this guy on special teams, and that's Colson Yankoff. I talked to Logan Paulson, and he's convinced that Colson Yankoff is making his team. Like in his mind, it's not even an option. And John Kahn was talking about Colson Yankoff, and he said, look, this dude is on every special teams unit, and he's on the first team of every special teams unit. And that counts for something. And I keep reiterating this. There is an emphasis that has been placed on special teams with this organization and this staff. Clearly, they value special teams. They've made a concerted effort to keep all of the guys here that make an impact on special teams. And if you are a core special teamer, they make space for you somewhere on this roster. Jeremy Reeves, extension. Nick Bellore, extension. A 2-year extension at that. Not many people are getting 2-year extensions around here. Bates got a 3-year. Bellore got a 2-year. I don't know if anybody else got an extension, like a multi-year extension on this roster outside of those 2 guys this offseason. Everybody else either came back on a 1-year deal or got a 1-year extension. Reeves, I think, got a 1-year extension, if I'm not mistaken. I think he still had 2 years left. Maybe it was 1 year, and then they gave him another year extension. And then same thing for Percy Butler. Extended him a year, right? All core special teams guys. This is why I keep talking about the value of a Jeremy McNichols. They really like Jeremy McNichols on special teams, but they love Colson Yankoff on special teams. Well, Colson Yankoff, the special teams player, is cool. Clearly, his value is something that his special teams value is something that they covet. I want to see Colson Yankoff, the tight end, the athlete, because this was a former college quarterback, turned running back, now tight end. So I want to see the athlete because I know he's in there. I actually want to see Colson Yankoff catch the football, run routes. He's going to get an opportunity to do that. You know, one of the guys I was kind of excited to see was Tyree Jackson. Well, his season's done. So I think there's more reps for guys like Colson Yankoff, Ben Sinnott, and some of the other tight ends that they have. Lawrence Cager, some of these other dudes. There's more reps because there's no Tyree Jackson now. And the aforementioned Cole Turner. But I want to see Colson Yankoff. I want to see what he can do as an actual tight end. If he's going to make this roster, I need to know that if he has to be pressed into action, he's capable. Because there's a real chance that he's on this roster. It's feeling, as the days pass by and we get closer and closer to cut down day, I'm becoming more and more convinced that Colson Yankoff is going to be here, and they're keeping 4 tight ends. 3 running backs, but they're keeping 4 tight ends. And then obviously Luke McCaffrey. If we're going to stay on the offensive side of the football for now, let's go to Luke McCaffrey. We'll double back to the defense here in a second. If we're talking second-year guys, Luke McCaffrey, we need to see it. I'm in the same boat with him as I am Johnny Newton in the sense of, and same could be said for Ben Sinnott. I have confidence in all 3 of those guys, by the way. But those were all day 2 picks in our foundational draft of 2024. There are, of all of those guys, Luke McCaffrey has caught the most flack from the fan base. A lot of people flat out don't think he can play. Think that if his last name wasn't McCaffrey, he wouldn't be on this roster. If his last name wasn't McCaffrey, he wouldn't have gotten drafted. If his last name wasn't McCaffrey, first of all, if his last name wasn't McCaffrey, he wouldn't have been drafted on day 2 of the draft. But people have even gone as far as to say if his last name wasn't McCaffrey, he wouldn't have been drafted at all. That's crazy. Because it's not like this dude ran a 4.7 and still heard his name called. The dude tested well. Caught the football well in college at Rice. Yes, his bloodlines and his lineage definitely helped. I'm not sitting here telling you you're wrong. That shit matters. But he actually did play solid football at Rice. And he tested really well in the pre-draft process. And I do think he can play. He caught a touchdown pass at the joint practice. I do think he can play. He's going to get an opportunity, obviously, this entire preseason to really stake his claim as that next guy up after the big 3 at the receiver position of Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and Noah Brown. He's going to stake his claim. He's going to get an opportunity to stake his claim as the next guy up. Most people have skipped over him and went straight to Jalen Lane. What can Jalen Lane do for you? Most of y'all have skipped right over Luke and went straight to Jalen Lane. Let's see what he's got. Well, this is Luke McCaffrey's opportunity, not just this game, not next week against Cincinnati, but this entire preseason, the entire body of work, because he should be playing in the Ravens preseason finale as well. Like, there should be no games off for a guy like Luke McCaffrey. He has to prove himself. And every opportunity that he gets to make a play builds confidence for him. And I don't give a shit if it's against a guy that's not going to be in the league, 3 days later after that game on the 23rd. He needs confidence. I think that's the one thing he's lacking right now. It's just confidence. More opportunities, more confidence. The more he makes plays, the more he's going to feel like, I am that dude. Well, you're going to be playing against lesser competition, more likely than not in this game. Take advantage. Shut some people up in the process. I've heard some people putting out some crazy numbers as to what he better do in this game. I'm like, it's the preseason, bro. He's playing with Sam Hartman. And Josh Johnson, what are we doing here? He better have about 100 yards in this game. It's a preseason game, bro. What are we talking? Most of these shits are 13-10. And again, I watched some really good games today, or I won't say really good games where points were being scored. But most of the time when we play in preseason games, them shits ain't high scoring. Our shits are snooze fests. This might fit in that category. Who knows? But whatever the case may be, I just want Luke to show flashes. That's it. Show why he was a second-round pick, the final pick of the third round last year, and a guy that could easily be one of our top 4 pass catchers at the receiver position this season. Because I think he will be the 4th leading receiver at the receiver position this season. Assuming Noah Brown stays healthy, of course. He could be the 3rd. A lot of you have already pushed him way down the depth chart. Let's go back to the defensive side of football and some of these second-year guys. Dominique Hampton, drafted as a safety, made this positional switch last year to linebacker, really redshirted last year for all intents and purposes, did get a couple of snaps on special teams, but for the most part, he was inactive most weeks. Learning from Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, and company. He's put in the work. He's gotten a little bit bigger. Now, let's see what he can do. I'm anxious to see what Dom Hampton looks like. That's a guy that Rio yesterday was saying, I don't know if he's making this roster. I'm convinced that they're not cutting a single draft pick from the last 2 years. All 14 of them will be on the final roster when it's all said and done. But if there is one guy that could easily not be on the roster, feels like it's Dom Hampton. But I can't see it. And, Javonte Jean-Baptiste is another guy that I'm looking at and saying, especially with this injury. But I don't think they're cutting him either. All right. I think they see a lot of upside with Javonte Jean-Baptiste. So it's really Dom Hampton is the only guy that feels like he could be in some sort of danger. And again, I don't see them making that kind of decision in year 2 with a guy that they asked to make a positional switch. Just doesn't feel like something they would do. So I think he's safe along with the other 13 members of the last 2 draft classes. But to see him out there at the linebacker position is going to be interesting. See how he moves around. I don't doubt that the athleticism, the movement skills are all going to be there. How quick is he processing what he sees? Is he late to the party? How well does he tackle? Does he get off of blocks? Does he get stuck on blocks? Does he overrun plays, over pursue? Where's his intellect as a linebacker? Where's that at? These are the things I'll be looking for from Dom Hampton. I know he's an athlete. I know he's going to move well on the field. Can he get guys on the ground? Can he be where he's supposed to be? Can he get off of blocks? Can he elude blockers? Can he beat them to the spot? These are all things that I want to see from him. How does he look in coverage? As a former safety, I think that should be one of his traits and skills that stand out. We'll see. Another second-year guy that I think a lot of you are excited about, have high hopes for, and I'm very intrigued by it, and that's Tyler Owens. Going into camp, I don't know if there was a name that fans that I've talked to were more excited about defensively as a young player than Tyler Owens. I heard his name more than Trey Amos. I heard his name more than Mikey Sainristil. I heard his name more than any of the guys that were either returning, that were young pieces, Quan Martin, etc., on the defense, or guys that they had just gotten, like a Trey Amos or a K. Madrano. I heard Tyler Owens' name. I think he can be a beast. That's the thing I heard the most. They need to start Tyler Owens. Well, he's been getting first-team reps. And they've been moving him around, and they've been doing different things with him, and they've been trying him in different spots to really see what he can do, what he can't do, what he can excel at, what he needs work at. They've been pushing a lot of buttons with Tyler Owens this offseason into training camp. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see what this guy that we know is one of the best athletes on the team. If you're talking height, weight, speed, there's a picture of Tyler Owens. Now, can he put all of that together, have it up here, and have it manifest itself on the field? That's the question. If he can do that, we may have a secret weapon. We may have a gem on defense if he can show that he's capable of handling some of the responsibilities and duties that they may have set aside for him. Right now, I'm still skeptical. I still think we're a year removed from him really being unleashed or being in a position to be unleashed. Maybe he shows up a year early, ready for work. I still think he's a core special teamer right now. That's how I view him. We'll see. We'll see if he is or if he isn't. One thing's for sure, he's going to be on this roster. You can be assured of that. So I don't think that that's an issue. So now you move to the rookies, the young guys, the youngest of the young on this roster. That we are one more second-year guy, and is one of the most important in terms of the preseason, at least. Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman is a guy that is going to get an opportunity to win the QB3 job, and he's going to have an opportunity to prove that he belongs on this roster. He was in a very similar spot last year, and he wasn't ready. Jeff Driscoll ended up being QB3. He's in the same spot he was in last year. Now the question is, has he learned from the mistakes? Has he grown as a quarterback? Can he cut out the mistakes? Cliff Kingsbury described his training camp as up and down, talked about his turnovers and how he needs to take better care of the football, but he called him a gamer and a guy that plays best when the lights are on. Well, the lights are on tomorrow night. And more likely than not, he's going to get the starting assignment. What does he look like? Going to be interesting to see if he is ready to take advantage of this opportunity, or if he's going to let 39-year-old Josh Johnson come in here and kick him off the roster. Want to see what Sam's going to be around, regardless of whether he makes the roster or not. They're not cutting him. or they're not just flat out releasing him and not bringing him back. He'll be on the practice squad, worst case scenario. But they want him to make the team. They want him to make the team. So he's going to have to show them that he's worthy of a roster spot. Now we go to the rookies, the youngest of the youngins. And this is a group we're really excited about. Partly because we've never seen these guys play in a Commander's uniform before. It's always most exciting. You are most anxious to see guys when you've never seen them before on your team. We've seen Sam Hartman play before in a Commander's uniform. We've seen Tyler Owens play before. We want to see the new improved version of Tyler Owens, but what has he learned? How has he grown as a player? But we've seen him play before. We've seen Johnny Newton play before. Let's see how much better he's gotten. We've seen Luke McCaffrey play before. You haven't seen Kane Madrano play before. You might have watched him practice. Go to one of the practices that they had up in Ashburn. You might have watched him practice. But you haven't seen him playing a game in the NFL in a Commander's uniform. That's exciting, right? How athletic he isn't up for debate. He was one of the best athletes that tested at the linebacker position at the scouting combine in Indy this past spring. So no one's here to debate the athlete that he is or isn't. I think what it all boils down to, and I think this is one of the things that I'm really looking forward to with this game, is can he tackle? Can he be where he's supposed to be and get guys on the ground? I want to see the entire team tackle first and foremost, because as a fan of football and someone that has been doing this as long as I have, I was crazy. I was on YouTube the other day and a message popped up and told me that my channel just officially turned 13 years old the other day. And I just thought to myself, damn, that's crazy. And if I go back to when I first started back in 2012, practices were so different then. They had 2-a-days back then. 2 practices in one day. They weren't practicing first thing in the morning to save the players and get them away from the heat. They were practicing in the early, midday, and then they was coming back and practicing again in the dead heat of the afternoon, 3-4 o'clock. 2 practices in one day. And most of these practices were padded practices. These weren't, shells or helmets only. There weren't a select few. It was a different time. Well, they don't even tackle in joint practices anymore. Shit's crazy. I mean, this is all because of the players. Like they wanted these things put in the CBA. Good for them. These are things that they feel like are going to present longevity for them, put them in positions to play longer in the league, keep them healthier, etc. Great, do it. But one of the things that gets lost in that is tackling. You just don't tackle as much in the offseason anymore. We haven't actually seen guys tackle yet. They've wrapped. They've been in position. They've maybe put a shoulder on somebody, but we haven't actually seen guys getting taken to the ground. Well, you're going to get to actually see that tomorrow. And Kane Madrano, I think, is one of the guys under the microscope when you talk about someone being able to wrap up and take someone to the ground or take a proper angle breakdown and get someone on the ground. I don't know if anybody's under a bigger microscope than Kane Madrano. I think he's going to be really good in coverage. We'll see if he can blitz or not. I don't know if they're going to use him in that regard in this particular, game. But can he break down? Can he get to the spot first? Because he's an undersized linebacker. Can he get to the spot first, break down, be where he's supposed to be? Can he get off of blocks? Can he be involved in the action? And these are all things that we want to see from Kane Medrano. And we're not going to see everything in one game, but you want to see the makings of a guy that has a chance to be, you know, an impact player in some way, shape, or form. And maybe his niche that he carves out for himself has nothing to do with stopping the run or anything like that. Maybe he's a guy that you put in the game on some Monty Coleman shit. For some of you elder statesmen out there that remember Monty Coleman, he was a hitman. They brought him in for specific tasks and duties only. Hey, Monty, go cover that tight end. Hey, Monty, they got a dude over here that's kicking our ass. You run with him, Monty. One of the best athletes on the team. Take him out the game, Monty. Maybe he's that for us. Hey, they trying to run these wheel routes with Travion Henderson. Go run with him. Stop that shit. Maybe that's who he'll be in this league. Maybe he can be more than that. Only time will tell. Here's the first opportunity he's going to prove that he can actually contribute on the defensive side. Or is he just a core special teamer? Is that the extent of what Kane Medrano is? Again, only time will tell. Here's the first step in that process. I think the guy that I'm anxious to see, but I'm not sure if we'll see him or not, so I'm trying to temper my expectations. I expect him to play, though. But I wouldn't be shocked, much like I've said with others, that he doesn't. It's Josh Connolly Jr. I don't view him as a starter yet. So I expect him to play in this game. He needs reps. He needs opportunities to play. He's young. He needs to be out there. And I'm not talking about a series or two. He should be out there for 3 or 4 series in this game to start. Even if it's 1 or 2 series, fine. It's the first game. You don't want to overload him or overwork him, whatever. I just think he needs to be out there getting as many reps because I think he's going to be your starting right tackle. He needs to get reps. I wouldn't be shocked that they don't play him because he literally started in the joint practice because of the injuries. He started at right tackle. They could consider him a starter, and they probably already view him as their, week 1 starter in their minds. They just haven't given him that title yet. And so thus they could say, nah, we're not putting him out there. But in my mind, I'm like, nah, we going to get 72 out there. He going to play, and he need to play. I think he's going to play. And if he does, I'm going to be watching him on just about every snap that he's out there. Because he's going to be a big part of what we do offensively. And the faster that he's able to get to his peak level of play, the more we can open up this offense and be even more dynamic with the things that we do and call. So I'll be watching him like a hawk if he's out there. That'll be some watch the play, then rewind it, and then just watch him, right? It's one of those situations where initially I ain't watching him on the play. I'm just watching the play as a whole. Then I go back, rewind it, and just watch him, see what he did on the play. We'll see if he plays or not. I don't want to get my hopes up. But in my mind, I've told myself, oh, he's playing. He's playing. I know they're not playing our 2nd round pick, Trey Amos. I don't need to see him, honestly. I'll see him next week when all the starters are out there. Don't need to see him in this one. So then you go to the 4th round and Jalen Lane. I know you're excited about him as well as I am. I want to see how they showcase him. I would love it if they didn't try anything with him other than using him as a receiver. Don't jet sweep him. Don't do anything. Don't know wide receiver screens with him. Don't showcase none of that shit in the preseason, because that's probably how you're going to try to use him in the regular season. Stuff underneath, shallow crosses. That's what I expect in the preseason. I'd love to see at least one deep shot to Jalen Lane in this game, just for the sake of seeing if, seeing the speed, seeing if he can go track it, even if it's not a catch. Was he able to create separation from the guy that was, covering him on the play? If he gets one-on-one, sort of like De'Ami Brown did last year against the Jets in the first preseason game, and we immediately took a shot. Jaden changed the play at the line of scrimmage. Saw you at one-on-one, went to De'Ami, threw a dot, and that was really a sign of things to come about, what Jaden was going to be. If we get one-on-one with Jalen Lane, I would love to see them just uncork one, even if it's incomplete. Just so I could see if he was able to get off the line. Was he able to accelerate? Could he run by somebody? All of that stuff. How did he play the ball? Did he go up and try to attack it? Did he leave space for the quarterback? That red line, that imaginary red line we talk about as receivers, leaving enough space for the quarterback to drop it over your outside shoulder. I just want to see him in that environment, in that element. I would like to see him on a shallow cross or something that he really excelled at in college, a deep over route. See him accelerate and run away from somebody. See him with the ball in his hands. He's going to be fun to watch. And then, obviously, this goes without saying, but of course I'm going to say it. I want to see him on special teams. Will he be back there returning kickoffs now that Eke isn't going to play and you're not getting any Deebo Samuel, who could also be a guy that would be back there? I would assume Luke McCaffrey's going to start the game as one of your return men. Will he be the other one? Will he be the other one? Or will he specifically just be back on punts? We'll see. But if he's returning punts, clearly, which he will be, I want to see what that looks like. That's probably what I'm most excited to see him do in this game, because that's the one thing I can count on in 2025 that he's going to be asked to do at a high level. Yeah, he'll touch it on offense. Trust me. They're going to have a package for him where they make sure they get him in the game and look to get him touches. They will manufacture touches for him. But the thing we know every week he's going to be tasked with doing is fielding and returning punts. So that's the thing I want to see him excel at the most in this preseason game. So obviously, the receiver position is wide open. I've talked about the receiver position and how I've been really disappointed in the veterans. I'm going to be watching those veterans to see if any of them step up and make a case for that sixth and final wide receiver spot that is definitely available right now. At this point, I'm going to be honest with you. At this point, we might not have 6 good receivers. It may only be 5. And I'm not in the mindset of let's just keep 6 for the sake of keeping 6. No, you can put 2 dudes, 3 dudes on the practice squad if you so choose at the receiver position. You don't need to keep 6 of them on this roster if you can't find 6 guys that are worthy. We've got 5 guys that we know are making this team. Who's going to step up and be the number 6 guy? I was all in this man's corner to start training camp. But in my mind, I'm like, he ain't ready to contribute, man. And he's not going to be better than KJ Osborne and Michael Gallup. But lo and behold, people I've talked to from where I think he may sit based off of their actions. I can't say that I know this for a fact, but I've talked to at least 2 different people who have been out there who say that right now he's at the forefront of the list of guys for the 6th wide receiver spot. And that's undrafted rookie Ja'Cory Brooks. I don't think it was an accident that with the first team offense, he was out there getting reps and tons of them. I don't think that was a coincidence. So at this point, now I've got to put biases aside and I gotta look at this young fella and say, are you ready? Yeah. No. Yeah. Are you ready, Ja'Cory Brooks? Here's your chance to break it down. I want to see this young fella go out and ball. He's got talent. We talked about this the whole draft process. When he didn't get picked, when he ended up here, 35th, a top 35 high school recruit, went to Alabama. You're not a bum if you end up getting recruited by Alabama. You're not a bum if you're a top 35 recruit in your high school recruiting class. This guy can hoop. Athletically, doesn't blow you away. But if he can continue to make plays, and he's made plays, he's missed plays. That's the inconsistency of an undrafted rookie, which is why I was like, yeah, I can't see him making the roster. Too up and down, right? Not going to make enough plays to offset the plays that he misses, while the veterans are just going to be steady. And that's what you want at the 6 wide receiver spot. You ain't looking for a guy that can be dynamic, but he could also hurt you. You're looking for somebody that if I put him in the game, he's going to do. You're looking for a Jamison Crowder. That's what you're looking for. A guy that if I put him in the game, he's going to do what I ask him to do. If I put you in a game and I throw you the ball on 3rd and 7, you're going to catch it. Well, Ja'Cory Brooks might drop it. Or he might make a one-handed catch like he did in the joint practice for a touchdown. Which one is he going to do? Don't know. Surprise! That's the shit you don't want. And that's what you get with young guys a lot of times. I'm just anxious to see what it looks like. I don't love his number. 16 is not a good receiver number. When's the last time you seen somebody cook in the number 16 at receiver? I'm trying to think. Is it Moore from the Saints? What was his name? Moore? I don't know why I can't think of his first name, but it was Moore. And he was pretty damn good too, like a little slot receiver. I can't think of too many 16s that were dope at the wide receiver position. And then he got a nerve to be tall and angular with the shit. Like if you 16, you better be short, 5'9", getting in and out of breaks, breaking dudes off and separating. He tall with the shit. You can't be tall and 16 at receiver and slow. Tyler Lockett is a good one. Yeah, Joe, Tyler Lockett is a good one. I think he was 16, right? Okay. Yeah, Lockett was 16. I'm about to say he wasn't 18? No, he was 16. That's a good one. It ain't too many of them, Joe. That's a good pull though. Lockett it's not many of them, man. I want to see what he looks like though. All jokes aside, I want to see what he looks like. He's very intriguing. And the thing that for me right now sticks out is who's stopping him from making a roster? Who's stopping him from making a roster? Lance Moore. Thank you. That's the guy I was thinking about. Thank you, Deshaun. Lance Moore is his name. Was a beast with the New Orleans Saints for a while. Then he bounced around the league. I think he ended up in Tampa and things of that nature. But Lance Moore is his name. Good receiver. It ain't been many 16s that have cooked in this league at the receiver position. But he's got a realistic shot at making this roster. I am intrigued by Ja'Cory Brooks. And he's got a real shot. And this is one of those opportunities because while he's going to play next week against the Bengals, the starters are playing next week. How long? I don't know. And I don't anticipate it being very long. I don't. But any reps that the starters get takes away opportunities for you to play. And excuse me, I'm of the mindset that coaches generally already know who's made the roster by the time you get to the third preseason game. Now, there may be, and this wide receiver thing could come down to the last game, right? I remember one year with Ron, this might have been like 2022. The last game against the Ravens was such an abysmal performance. Nobody played well, but like two dudes. Those two guys ended up making the roster. He was so pissed at how they performed. I think those guys ended up making the roster. Everybody was dreadful in that last preseason game. But generally, I think coaches know. Like, remember last year, Martavis Bryant makes the touchdown grab at the end. They're mobbing him. Jaden, everybody's mobbing him. And everybody's like, oh, Martavis Bryant should make the team, this, that. He wasn't making the team. They already knew who was on the squad by then. It didn't matter what he did in that game. It was a cool moment. DQ said that out there. Oh, what a cool moment. He wasn't making the team. They already knew who was on the squad by then. I say that to say this. This may be your best opportunity to go out and show them that I deserve to be on this roster. You'll get another opportunity next week against Cincinnati. But you don't know how the game is going to go. The Bengals are playing their starters. They played them tonight, multiple possessions. If they are to do that again next week, who's not to say that the Commanders play their starters 2 possessions on offense and the Bengals play theirs 3, and that's the entire first half? Who's to say that you even get a chance to play in the first half next week? Who's to say that they don't want to give other guys a look next week who didn't really get an opportunity this week? And then you don't get in until mop-up duty in the fourth quarter. I say all of that to say this. This is going to be your best opportunity to prove to the staff, I should be here. And not on the practice squad, because there's a practice squad spot with your name on it already. That's a given. We talking about 53-man roster. And then last but not least, everybody wants to see Bill. It's Bill mania around here. He's the main attraction. He's the star of the show. Everyone's buying general admission tickets to see Bill. I said this on my Bleacher Report, quick hit, the other day. I don't think I can recall a 7th round pick that had this much fanfare since Jimmy Moreland, the people's champ. That was the last guy that came in as a 7th round pick and kind of took everybody by storm, had everybody rooting for him. This is different, though, because as much as we liked Jimmy had I'm searching for the right word. I'm getting it. Deficiencies. Jimmy was short. Jimmy was skinny. Jimmy lacked the things he needed to play where he probably was best suited to play. We automatically wanted to throw Jimmy inside because Jimmy was 5'9" and about $180. But Jimmy was more comfortable playing outside with the big boys. Jimmy just was too small. And so it kind of got lost in the sauce, right? Bill looks the part. Bill's got the requisite size. Bill's got the requisite speed. Bill's got the requisite agility, ability to make people miss. He's got contact balance. The only 2 things we don't know for sure if Bill can do at this current juncture is, can he catch the football consistently out of the backfield, which even if he can't, fine, don't throw it to him. It's not hard. Don't throw it to him. And the other thing is, can he pass protect? But as a runner, which is what we are most intrigued by, we think he has everything he needs to be not just successful, but to be dynamic in this league. And you know, when you're a 7th round pick, you automatically are an underdog. People root for underdogs. The anticipation for Bill in this game is sickening. It really, truly is. I am a part of that. I am dying to see this kid out on the football field. I hate his number. I hate 32 on him. But if he cooks in 32, I'm all for it. He'll be the talk of this game if he just rips off one run. That's all he's got to do is one run. What was the name of that Baylor back that we got in the 7th round that had the one big run in his first preseason game? Lace Seastrunk. There it is. Lace Seastrunk. All he's got to do is have one Lace Seastrunk run in this game, and it's over, bro. He could do nothing else in the preseason. He just got to add that one run. That's it. It's the same thing that Darius Geist did. Remember Darius Geist? Same against the same team, matter of fact. It was the Patriots. Had the one big run. Hurt himself on that run, though. But he had the one big run, and we was like, oh, shit. Darius Geist. All he got to do is have one big run. One nasty run where he makes a nasty cut, breaks somebody off, makes somebody miss, and we're like, B-Rob wouldn't have done that shit. It ain't going to take much, man. This base is starving for a dynamic running back. They are starving. They stomachs are touching their back right now. They starving. They so hungry for a dynamic back. If this man goes in here and it could be an 8-yard run, but he made 2 dudes miss. Oh shit, B-Rob wouldn't have done that. That would have been a 2-yard loss. That's all he got to do. It don't even got to be much, bro. That's how anticipatory this game is in terms of Bill. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be fun. And I don't even think he starts the game, to be honest with you. I think we talked about this on the Commanders Kings yesterday. I think it's probably more likely than not going to be J-Mac that starts this game. That's my guess. Remember, they put this man 5th on the depth chart. I wouldn't be shocked because they did this shit to Michael Wiley last year. Michael Wiley, if you recall in the Jets game last year, he didn't play at all in the first half. He played the entire second half. He didn't play at all in the first half. J-Mac played in the first half last year. C-Rod played in the first half. And then Michael Wiley got the entire second half. I wouldn't be shocked if that's what they do to Bill. J-Mac is in first. Chris Rodriguez comes in next. And then we get Bill in the second half, and it's his show for the rest of the game. And if that's the case, he better cook them damn. And again, he can only do but so much. By then, you got the 3rd string offensive line in there. You know, all bets are off, but you're also playing against the 3rd string New England Patriots defense. He better cook their ass. You know, that's what we're looking for him to do. But again, you're usually only as good as your offensive line. So we got to take that with a grain of salt too. But it's the Bill Show, starring Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt tomorrow night and really all preseason long. And the Bill noise only gets louder if he performs well. It only gets louder. It's already loud as is, but it only gets louder if he goes out there and plays well in this game. I mean, you could ask any one of these beat reporters after the joint practice, who they got asked about the most. After you got past the Jadens and the starters and all that, ask them who they got asked about the most. I bet you if he wasn't first, if he wasn't at the top of the list, he wasn't too far from it. I bet you it was Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt. Fans are invested in this kid. I'm one of them. Can't wait to see what he does. He's at the top of the list, obviously, in this game of players to watch. So, with that said, let's get to the comment section. Before we do that, though, I am going to take the time to promote Commanders Kings live event August 24th. That's a Sunday, day after the final preseason game. Myself, Rico, Rio, and Ed will all be live together for the first time in Commanders Kings history at Crystal City Sports Pub in Arlington, Virginia. It's going to be a hell of a time. We're going to put on one hell of a show. We got some really great things planned for you guys. We're going to predict the 53-man roster, which will be the hottest topic at that time because the last preseason game would have taken place, after the last preseason game. Usually there's about 48 to 72 hour window between there and when the team has to trim the roster down from the 90-man roster to 53. So we're going to be predicting that. We're going to have a season preview, right, and prediction. Go through each game on the schedule, give our thoughts, and then ultimately land on a final record as we go through the games individually. We're going to have a toast to the season. We're going to have some giveaways. We're going to have so much entertainment and fun. Want you to be a part of it. August 24th, which is a Sunday, day after the final preseason game, at Crystal City Sports Pub in Arlington, Virginia. $45 or how much the tickets cost to get you in. And it'll be $45 well spent. Less than 50 tickets remain. Again, I've been saying this to you guys. Tickets are going fast. Shout out to everyone who already has their tickets. But if you want to be in the building, there's still an opportunity. The link to where you can get the tickets are in the description of this video. If you're a mod and you're out there, do me a favor, drop the link in the comment section of this video so that anyone in the comment section right now watching this video, any viewers that want to be in attendance can click on that link and get your tickets. If you can't be there, but you still want to help this event take place, you can donate. Click that same link where you would buy the tickets and go all the way to the bottom, and you're going to see a donation tier, bronze, silver, gold, and we're going to give you a shout out. If you donate to this live event, we are going to make sure everyone knows that you were a huge part of helping this thing take place. So even if you can't be there physically, you can be there in spirit by helping the cause by donating. So again, looking forward to meeting a lot of you. Looking forward to chopping it up with the fellas and looking forward to having a great time. Hopefully you will be a part of it. So let's get to the comment section. Smacky, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Smacky writes, I signed up and paid for winners and losers. Still haven't gotten an invite email. Go Commanders. I haven't sent any of them out yet. So I think I talked about this yesterday on one of the shows, but I know I mentioned it. I haven't sent anything out yet. I've been so busy with so many different things. That's kind of been on the back burner, but I am going to get my life together starting next week in regards to all of those. I'm going to do another video, a call to action. That'll be the big one because now we're getting to the point where football's on, the juices are flowing. People got to start getting this thing going. And all of the people that have sent the registration fees have filled out the registration form. and I'll be sending them emails to let them know that I got your money, I got your registration form, and you're locked in and ready to go. So haven't done that yet. So you haven't missed anything. You just didn't get lost in translation. If you received the email kicking back telling you that I've gotten your registration form, then that's been already accepted. And if you sent the money, no worries. I have documentation of all of that. So you'll get your confirmation email if you've done everything that you need to do. So just be mindful of that. OGJ Command. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Shout out to my guy, OGJ Command, who writes, I trust JD in our offense for the season. Would love to see some dominant D-line play, good tackling, playmaking, and speed tomorrow. Real games soon. Those are all really good things to be looking for in these preseason games, specifically this first one, especially when you haven't seen the team tackle at all in any instance this entire offseason. You want to see that the D-line, you want to see them play really well. Obviously, the starters won't be in there, but the backups that will play, especially the first line of backups, are guys that are going to probably be on this roster and be in that rotation. As Joe Witt Jr. says, we're going to roll with a deep crew. They're going to be a part of that crew. You would like to see them go in there and do what they need to do. Playmaking and speed tomorrow, that is so vital. That's one of the things, along with, it'd be nice to create a turnover or two. That's something we didn't do well last year. Doesn't seem like we're going to be that great in that department this year, but I can't say that, right? We haven't seen the defense. We haven't seen this team, but it doesn't seem like they're going to, like, that's something they really haven't done in camp either. And Dan Quinn even said, we're still not forcing turnovers. So I don't know if we're going to be a turnover forcing team or not, but it'd be nice to force a turnover to kind of set the tone for this season of, hey, we're going to take it away a little bit. Because that's a mindset, and that permeates the entire roster. That just doesn't have to be a first team defensive thing. That's supposed to be, look, like when you watch teams that take it away, their second team dudes are coming in punching at the football. You know, their second team corners are trying to jump routes. Like when there's an emphasis on taking it away, it permeates the roster. I just don't feel like we have the guys to do that. So, we'll see. But these are two things that I definitely want to see, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, OGJ Command. I want to see speed tomorrow. Like, I'm anxious to see Bill. I'm anxious to see Jalen Lane. I'm anxious to see Kane Medrano, because these guys would bring an element of speed, something that we truly have lacked here on this team. Like, we weren't a fast team last year, offensively or defensively. We weren't a fast team. We still aren't a fast team, but we're faster than we were last year. Again, low bar was set last year, but we're a faster team this year. But some of the few guys that they've brought in here who offer speed and athleticism, you want to see it on display. You want to feel that speed and say, okay, I see what you can be, right? So anxious to see some of these guys. And then you want to see playmaking. You want to see a guy take a short pass and turn it into a big gain. It doesn't necessarily have to be a touchdown, but you want to see like, for instance, and this is not a great example because we're talking about the best receiver in the league, or one of the best, but Jamar Chase literally catches a 12-yard out, makes the defender miss, spins back to the inside, and Johnson to the end zone. Now, the Eagles didn't play their starters tonight, but the Bengals said, I don't give a shit. That means we should cook these boys. And they did. Went right up and down the field twice and then got their starters out. But I'll give you another example. LaJohntay Wester, wide receiver from Colorado, rookie 6th-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens, had 2 dynamic punt returns tonight, the second of which went to the crib. Like, that's the kind of playmaking you're looking for. I don't expect Jalen Lane to return a punt for a touchdown tomorrow night, but it'd be nice if he had an 18-yard punt return. That'd be nice. You feel good about that. You just want to see guys making plays. That's all. So I'm with you. Marissa Mullinex, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Shout out to your brother Mark. Really appreciate y'all. Who writes, hello, Lou, my brother sent you a video on Facebook of Terry McLaurin, of a Terry interview. It doesn't look good. He said he's not playing this season at all, and he said bad stuff about the team. he burned bridges. I haven't seen that video, but I can tell you right now that I don't know if you guys saw the video Rio had today, but he had an interview with Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, one of their insiders. And Fowler said that he feels like Terry McLaurin is very upset that this situation has gotten to the point that it's gotten to. It's not at the point of no return, but he does think that there has been some irreparable damage done. Now, again, what does that even mean? Again, if they get to a point, because they're not trading him, and Jeremy Fowler pretty much said that one team he can confirm has reached out and, you know, just to check the temperature to see what's what with the situation, and the Commanders rebuffed them and told them, no, we're not trading him. So he's like, I don't think they're entertaining any offers. They're not looking to move him. They're going to figure something out. But he did say that Terry McLaurin is very frustrated, which we already know, and that there may have been some irreparable damage done. But again, if he gets paid, he'll be back in there, and I think everything will be what it's supposed to be. So at the end of the day, it just sucks. I hate this. I hate it here, right? I hate it in this space where Terry McLaurin isn't happy, isn't paid, and isn't on the field with his teammates. I hate it here. I just want to go back to, having those warm and fuzzy moments of last year. And we're going to get there eventually. But it sucks having to go through this to get there, right? But it's a part of the process, But when you watch the clips from last year, when you see, where Terry was, mentally, you could see how happy he was. When he had those buffs on after the Detroit win in the playoffs, you could see the gears turning of a guy that was like, yo, all of that shit I've been through, all of the different coaches, all of the losing, all of the nights where I wondered, is it ever going to change here? It was all worth it. You could see it last year. And it's unfortunate that we're here in that situation, but I have faith that it's going to get resolved. And I just always go back to the thing that I've been telling y'all all offseason, which is Adam Peters came from a place where this is commonplace, where this type of handling of a negotiation is commonplace. Even when he wasn't there last year, you saw what the 49ers did with Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk requested a trade just like Terry did. Ayuk was doing all kinds of crazy shit. They were about to trade him to New England. He was like, nah, I don't want to go there. And then they ended up giving him a deal. So I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here, but that's what usually happens. And that's what usually happened in San Francisco. A lot of back and forth. Debo did the same thing with the 49ers. Requested a trade, and then he got his money. So I think it's going to ultimately get done. I just, again, don't know when, but we'll see. I know he's frustrated. I do know that. Red Wing 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Red Wing 01. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, what a feeling it is to finally have football back. Amen to that. I'm going to go watch this Raiders game because I know Pete Carroll said that Geno Smith and the starters were going to play in that game. So I want to see Genty and Geno Smith and Brock Bowers. So I'm going to go get some of that action. And, that's also Pete Carroll returning to Seattle. So not that that's a big deal in the preseason, but still a storyline nonetheless. So I'm going to go and watch some of that action as well. I'm looking forward to seeing. I watched, as I mentioned, some of the Eagles game with the Bengals. I watched some of the Ravens game with the Colts, and it's just so good to have football back, man. Jeez Louise, it's so much fun. Excited to see the Rooks, Sennett, Newton, Owens, the most important tomorrow, all second-year guys, right? And that's what I said. Those second-year guys, to me, they are the most important. The guys that are going to be the most fun to watch are your rookies. But the most important. Like it ain't no laughing matter with the rookies. If they play well, great. If they don't, hey, they rookies, right? You can make up an excuse in your mind and you can justify them not, showing out, showing up and showing out in their first NFL action. The second year dudes, like, I'm not saying that they have to play well in this game or else, right? Like it's not a do or die situation, but you're at the point now where you have an expectation set for them. You're now a second year player in the NFL. You know how the league works. You know the speed of the game. You're in the same offense, or in the case of a Newton, same defense that you were in the league a year ago. This is the preseason. You're not game planning for anybody. Just go out and beat the guy in front of you. That's it. That's it. That's all. Go be better than the dude that's blocking you. Go be better than the DB that's covering you. If you're Tyler Owens, go make some plays. Go fly around the field and show how you've grown in a year's time. And you're looking for those flashes from those second-year guys. So I'm with you. He says, also looking at John Baptiste, Andre Jones, and Jacob Martin for the final DN spot. And it sucks that Javonte John Baptiste won't play in this game, right? That's why I haven't mentioned him, because he didn't make the trip to New England. He's not going to play in the game, obviously. That sucks. Andre Jones, I don't think is in the mix. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm shocked that he's even here, to be completely transparent. I'm shocked that he's even still on the roster. But I think they like his length because he's got a similar frame to that of Javonte John Baptiste. So I think that's why he's here. But I don't see anything that stands out, any traits that stand out about Andre Jones. Martin is definitely in that mix, and that's why I put him on the list of veterans that I really want to see, because he's got to show us something. If he gets a sack in this game and he's disruptive, he's going to stake his claim to be on this roster, which I think he's going to be anyway. But he's not a shoo-in. He's not a guy that you can just say, oh yeah, no, he's on the roster. I don't think that's where we at right now. Corwin Smith, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, hey Lou, what's up, Corwin? What's good? What's good with you? Feels good having expectations, doesn't it though? Where are our blind spots with this team? I've been burned before. Talk me off the ledge, Lou. No, we have blind spots. As fans, we love to talk about all the positives. We try to minimize and dismiss the negatives, but we have to be real with ourselves. We still don't know what this defense is, even though I think the secondary has a chance to be really good this year. We still don't know what the pass rush is. We still don't know if this team can create turnovers. We still don't know if the Terry situation clearly exists, and we don't know what the end game is going to be there. But again, I'm still confident that resolution takes place and we get back to playing football there. But there's still question marks about the offensive line, because Sam Cosmi's still injured. Don't know when he's going to be back. I feel like it's going to be sooner rather than later. And then, what are we going to get out of Josh Connolly Jr., et cetera, et cetera. Brandon Coleman just sustained an injury. So, there's still things there that you can't be assured of. But here's what you do know. And this is what you should be able to go to sleep at night comfortably knowing, is that we got Jaden Daniels. That changes everything. Okay. That changes everything. When you got a Lamar Jackson, when you got a Joe Burrow, when you got a Patrick Mahomes, when you got a Josh Allen, you don't worry about blind spots. You just try to minimize the weaknesses around your star quarterback. But that guy's going to elevate the entire roster. Okay. Single-handedly last year, and again, I don't want to minimize the guys around him, but single-handedly, Jaden Daniels came in here, and because he was so prolific offensively, he minimized the impact of a lackluster defense. Basically hid them from the rest of the league. He did that. And when they couldn't hold leads or give us a chance at the end, he went and bailed them out. So even when you have blind spots and things that you don't necessarily excel at, you still have a guy that can make up the ground and the difference and still put you over the top. And we got one of those on our team, finally. That should be the thing that makes you feel good, Corin, is that we got one of them ones. If nothing else, we got one of them ones. And even if the defense isn't great again, even if we don't create turnovers, even if special teams isn't the best, which we were pretty good on special teams. I don't worry about special teams. I think we got a really good special teams coach in Larry Izzo, and I think our special teams unit, we got fiends all over the place. I don't really worry. The dedication of special teams with this staff is phenomenal. I don't really worry about our special teams units. However, even if that were a weakness, even a field goal kicking situation wasn't great last year. You know what Jaden said? Don't worry about it. We won't kick a bunch of those. We won't kick a bunch of those. That's what should give you comfort. You've been burned before as a fan. We all have, Corin. Guess what we didn't have? We didn't have one of them ones. So while you can say I've been burnt before, you've never had one of them ones before at quarterback. That's the game changer, Corin. That's the game changer, my friend. CJ the Great. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. CJ the Great writes, that video dude talking about of Terry is 100% AI. Well, that was a female that said that, but the dude, her brother, sent the video to me. I'm pretty sure it's a fake because, one, the media would have been all over it. Two, Terry has only said the entire, like, he's not going to tell fans, he's not going to say this to anybody, you know, how he truly feels. Terry has only said, I'm taking it day by day. He said it to, you know, he's told the fans, the only thing he said to fans when he signed autographs is, I love y'all, my beef ain't with y'all. And that's what his message has been consistently. And then when he talks to the media, I'm just taking it day by day. I'm just taking it day by day. I'm just taking it day by day. So I know he hasn't said anything out of pocket. That's why I said I haven't seen the video, but I won't lend much credence to it because that's not who Terry is, right? Terry doesn't say anything crazy. He doesn't do anything crazy. So again, and I always tell people, be careful out here in these streets, right? But he is frustrated. Don't get it twisted. He is frustrated, but not to the point where he would, you know, bash the organization. That's not going to get him a deal here. That's not going to get him his money. So just be careful out there, man. AI is a dangerous thing. People do shit for, you know, clout and shits and giggles. And so just protect yourself out there. Don't believe everything you see. It's I always tell y'all, those social media streets, not safe. Protect yourself. Anyway, I digress. So that, my friends, is going to do it for me, your man, Louie T, here on this installment of the Command Post Up. Take command. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow after the preseason game. Now, remember, I'm going to be on Bleacher Report for about 20 to 30 minutes after the game, just to break it down quickly over there. Then I'm going to be here on this channel for the following 2 hours or whatever, breaking down all aspects of the game. And so hopefully it's obviously this one being at 8 o'clock start, 7:30, 8 o'clock start. It's going to be pretty late. The good thing is most of you don't have to work the following day. So that's a good thing. Hopefully you'll be able to kick it with me a little bit later on, and we can chop it up and talk about what we saw. The one that's going to be difficult is the Bengals game on the 18th. That's a Monday nighter. That means it's going to finish late. And I'm going to still have to do the Bleacher Report obligation and then come over here. And a lot of y'all got to work the next day. So that's going to be the tough one. But either way, it'll still be here for you on playback. So I digress. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to be watching football. I'm a junkie. Y'all know how I get down. If there's football on television, I'm there. So I'm about to go watch this Raiders Seahawks game, get some of that, and then probably call it a night. And then we got football. We got Commanders football tomorrow. Celebrate. We got Commanders action on the television screen tomorrow night. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? I am. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. God bless. One more sleep, and the burgundy and gold shall rise again. Ah, it feels good.